This is my non-running TL1000R, and in the last video I took all the fairings off and started doing a service in the hope that that would get it running. Sadly, I hit a bit of a snag when it came to checking for spark. I didn't have any spark. There was no spark. Compression was good, and I replaced the air filter because, well, it needed doing for the service. Annoyingly, I know now why there wasn't a spark. I'm actually recording this the morning after recording the last video, so I haven't looked at the comments yet because they don't exist, but I'd imagine there's a lot of them telling me I'm an idiot. I suspected that maybe when I took the tank off, that was what was causing the non-sparking issue. So I googled, if I remove the tank from my TL1000R, will it still generate a spark? And the answer was yes. The fuel delivery system is separate to the fuel ignition system, so it won't affect it. Google was wrong, because my other suspicion as to why I wasn't getting a spark was to do with the tilt sensor, the tip over sensor. I couldn't find it. I couldn't find it anywhere on the bike. And you know why? Because it's attached to the tank. When I took the tank off, I took off the tip over sensor, which meant it wasn't plugged in, it thought the bike was on its side, and it will stop generating spark. This is still a theory because I haven't tried it yet, but let me show you. I actually noticed this last night when I was editing last week's video. Here is the tank from exactly where I left it last night. There is the tip over sensor that says upper on it there, and as you can see, it's not plugged in. According to the forums, it will run without it, but I'm not sure if that's true or not, because, well, mine doesn't run without it. You can put a resistor in here to trick it into thinking that it's there, but at the minute, mine's coming up with a fault code telling me that there's a problem with the tip over sensor. I'm just going to take it off the tank and plug it back in and see if we've got spark. I've taken the tilt sensor off the tank, reattached it to the bike, plugged it back in, and now let's see if we've got spark. Yep, very good spark there. How annoying is that? Underneath the passenger seat you've got this plug, and it is a service engineer Suzuki plug. All it is two wires that you can link together and it will display any fault codes on the dashboard. Since refitting the tilt sensor, if I short these two wires out, I get a code of 00 on the dashboard, which means no faults. So happy days. The missing tilt sensor was causing the problem, and it was fault 23, I think it was. Okay, on with the service. Now I'm happy I've got spark, I can fit the new spark plugs in, nip them up, and then reattach the radiator pack that I had to drop to get access to the spark plugs. Oh, not forgetting to plug the HT leads in as well. So this should be pretty straightforward. Just got to wriggle it back up to where it was and put the 3 bolts back in that were holding it in place. There's one at the top either side and one in the middle at the bottom. Not forgetting to tighten the ones at the bottom that I was using as a pivot point as well. If you've seen the previous video I did on this bike, you might remember that the bolt that was in there wasn't actually in properly, and that's because I've just discovered the thread inside the nut that it fastens to is actually kind of stripped. Well, it's not stripped, it's just seized and manked. So I'm going to run this tap through it and recut the thread so that I can get a bolt in there properly this time. So this is how, if you didn't know, you create a thread inside a hole. You basically use, effectively, a very sharp bolt and screw it in there, and it cuts the thread. The hole has to be drilled the exact right size for the thread, but it's as simple as that. Okay. As you can see, it's got very sharp kind of teeth on it, and as you screw it in, it cuts the thread. Now, hopefully, this bolt will now screw back in nice and easily, and all the way. And there we go, as simple as that. And last thing to reassemble is the horn. I just need to bolt it back onto that bracket there and plug it in. Oh, where are the wires gone? Oh, sorry, they're up there. Thought I'd hidden them behind the radiator somehow. So I'll get that back on and we can have a look at draining the old fuel out the tank. There we go, horn attached. One of the reasons it might have been running poorly when it was actually running is that the fuel in the tank is probably a couple of years old, which means it's past its best. So I'm going to drain out all the old fuel and put new fuel in it. Now I'll always record this bit because 9 times out of 10 it goes wrong and I get fuel everywhere, and it's good content for you lot. In all fairness, it doesn't look too bad. It doesn't smell crazy bad, but let's get some fresh stuff in there anyway. Sorry if this is boring, I'm not spilling any. I spilled some in the last video, so that makes up for it, right? Oh, there we go, I spilled some. So this is taking so long, the bit I just spilt has dried up already. Well, there aren't any large chunks of rust coming out of it like there normally is when I do this on my bikes. So that's a win. My glasses are just about to fall off my face and end up in that. Oh, this is bad. Please don't fall off into the petrol. Before that happens, push them back on my face. There we go. Oh. Well, at least they didn't fuel in the petrol. Fuel in the petrol? At least they didn't fall in the petrol. Right. That is as much as I can get out of that. There's probably about 1/8 of a litre in there, which should be alright to dilute with some fresh fuel. So let's get this back on the bike and filled up. Well, not filled up, I'll put 5 litres in it. Oh, my back! They're okay. They didn't get scratched, incredibly. This is a frustrating design. I can't put the tank back on and get that bolt back in because of, well, the way it's designed. So I'm going to have to take this bracket off of here, including the tilt sensor, bolt it to the tank, and then put the whole thing back on the bike as one assembly. Not forgetting to plug the fuel lines in and the fuel pump connections. Here's a top tip. Don't open all your toolbox drawers at the same time, else it will fall on the floor. I tell you what, it made a hell of a bang. And because I've got these nice... Oh, I just chucked my thumb in it trying to save it. Right, stop messing around, Ashley. Just put your tools back in. Look, it's dented it. Right, I need something heavy to sit on the top, really, don't I? That's what I need. I need the top section for it. Right, let's put some nice fresh fuel in, and hopefully she'll start up. Now I can't ride it yet because the clutch doesn't work. I think it's well, it seems to have lost some clutch fluid somewhere, so it's either leaking or, well, that can really be the only thing, can't it? So I might pop the slave cylinder off before trying to bleed it. I might just try and bleed it. We'll see. I'll have a look at it once I've actually got it running. Right, here we go. Chuck some fuel in and hope it doesn't come out the bottom from where I've forgotten to connect something. Wouldn't be the first time. Okay, so I've put about 2.5 litres in there. I'm struggling to get that key out. That's not good. Remind me to spray something in there to ease that up a little bit. Okay, let's see what happens. So ignition on. I heard the fuel pump relay click. I can hear the fuel pump whirring away. I'm going to prime it a couple of times. Little whistle from the fuel pump there. Let's give it a go. Ready, Teddy, we're in neutral, yep. Hey! Fantastic. And the fault light's not on. Sounds a bit rough. Okay, I think that is a success. There is smoke still bellowing out of the right-hand exhaust. I'm not sure if that's the front or the rear cylinder. Worry about that later. It hasn't been started and run properly for a couple of years, so I'm putting that down to just burning off excess stuff. Okay, it is pitch black outside and it is very late at night, so I'm gonna go home, leave this overnight, and then come back to it another day, maybe tomorrow, we'll see. To you it'll be like a few seconds, and do an oil change, a coolant change, fix the clutch problem, and take it for a ride. Probably just be around the car park to start with, but that's the goal. Anyway, see you shortly. It's another day. I've got a new t-shirt on and I've had a little bit of a rearrangement of the workshop. You can see my ZX10 in the corner of the shot there, and I'm going to crack on with this service. Now, I know I said earlier in the video that I was going to let the engine warm up and do the oil change. However, what I'm going to do first is the coolant change, because I don't really want to change that when it's hot. So I'll change the coolant, start the engine, get it running up to temperature, and then do the oil change. Right, let's crack on. When it was running in the last clip, I was trying to explain that the fast idle adjuster didn't work, but the microphone, as you could probably tell, was not picking up my voice very well over the sound of this very loud V-twin. I believe it's a fast idle adjuster, not a choke, because this is a fuel injection system, and like I said, it just doesn't do anything. The idle adjuster down here does work, so I'm not too worried about it for now, but it is something I'm going to have to fix before I claim to have finished the bike. Let's get the old coolant out. Undo this goobly clip here, because this is the lowest point, well, the lowest easily accessible point of the cooling system. And then hopefully I won't make too much mess. But we all know I probably will. Oh, yeah. How did that even happen? Oh my gosh. This is just gonna... Okay. Those of you that are new to the channel, and this is the first of my videos that you're watching, this is quite a common occurrence that I just make a big mess everywhere when I'm doing fluids, oil, petrol, brake fluid, clutch fluid, coolant. Please don't fall off my paddock stand. And ready? Yeah! Bogey green. Looks pretty clean, to be honest. It's obviously good coolant, but I don't know the history of it. It's always best to just put nice fresh stuff in, then I know it's fresh. Alright, I'll let that drain out, put that back on, and then we can put new fluid in it. Bogey green. So we're going from a bogey green colour to a nice blue colour using this Silkaline engine coolant. So now I'll just reattach that hose and jobs are good in. Glug, 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 glug. I've taken out just over 2 litres, but I can only fit back in about 1.5 litres, so there's obviously an airlock in the system somewhere. I need to start the engine, I need to run it, I need to get it warm so that I can drain the oil anyway, so let's do that. I'm not even going to try and talk over this. I'm just going to wait for it to warm up now. I don't know if you can hear me. I'll find out when it comes to editing the video. Blah 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 blah. Oh, it might have run out of fuel. I only put like 2 litres in and I have been running it quite a bit. So, it's nice and warm now. Hopefully the air bubbles are out the cooling system and I can drain the oil out and get some fresh oil in it. I don't know if you noticed, but the smoke has gone from the exhaust as well. Right, I still can't get any more coolant in it. I've put a little bit in the expansion tank, but I think what I'm going to do is drop it back on its side stand, and hopefully that will help get the water around, because this pipe round this side at the top of the radiator feels empty, so there's definitely not enough coolant in there. Oh, I might as well leave the camera recording for when this inevitably falls off. Does that help? Can I get more coolant in now? Yes, I should be able to fit the rest of this bottle in, and then it'll be about perfect. Well, I say perfect, it'll be about what I took out of it, and it was brimmed full. So what I'm doing now with the bike on its side stand is going around squeezing all the rubber hoses, and hopefully that'll pump out all the air bubbles and get them to the top, which is now that cap because it's on the side stand. Pumpy, 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 pumpy. And with a spot of luck, there's room for a tiny little bit more coolant. Okay, that is now officially full. Need to clean up the mess I made on the floor again. Oh, I'm good at making mess. So I'm happy with that. This bottle is now pretty much empty. There's a tiny little bit in the bottom, but I didn't do an exact measurement, shall we say. Right, now the engine's warmed up, let's get the oil drained. I've just tried to start it again whilst it's on the side stand because I wanted to make sure the radiator fans kicked in before I did the oil actually. And I've got a fault light and it won't start. So as I explained either in the last video or earlier in this video, depending on how I've edited it, you can find out what the fault code is by taking this plug in the back. I'll bring you closer so you can see. This plug here, just remove the rubber cap, and there's only 2 wires in a 4-pin plug, so locate the 2 wires and bridge a connection between the 2. Now I've used tweezers, but you can use a little wire, or I think there's probably a proper connector you can get for this. Once you've done that, here on the dashboard, which is quite hard to see, there we go, I've turned the light on. So there's a few codes I've got C32, C33 and C41. C32, C33, C41. The C just stands for code, so code 32, 33 and 41. So let's Google that. After a very quick Google, C31 and C32 means there is an issue with the injector front and rear cylinders. So I need to do a little bit more research on that because I'm not sure if that's what's causing me the problem. C41, however, that is fuel pump relay issue. So do you remember that crusty relay that I found? That's what's throwing up that fault. So I'm going to have a look, see if I can clean it up a little bit more, make and break the connections a few times, and hopefully that'll be enough to get that running. At the minute I need to order a new one. Here is the relay in question, and this wire was a little bit kind of not connected, so I've just pushed that back in there, and when I turn the ignition on you should hear it click. Hear it? And I can hear the fuel pump whirring as well. Okay, let's try and get the bike started again and see if it will run up to temperature now. Might as well leave it on the side stand for this. The codes have gone now, so you can leave the wire in the connector and it will display the codes, and it says C00, so maybe C41 again. But I can hear that relay clicking. Maybe it knows when the fuel is flowing and it's not flowing. I'm just going to stick 2 more litres of fuel in and see if that helps. I'm not going to lie. If this works, that means I rinse through 2.5 litres pretty quickly. But then again, I don't think it's supposed to be an economical bike, is it? Glug, 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 glug. Why do these things take so long? This is why I only put 2.5 litres in the first place, because I got bored. Do you know what? It's possible that C31 and C32 could also have been caused by no fuel, because if the injector's not getting any fuel, then it can't inject any fuel. So just a simple top up of the tank might actually clear all the fault codes in this instance. Right. I have a whirring from a fuel pump. Okay. And no fault codes. Judging by the fact it took a minute to start then, I think it needed time to pump fuel to where it needed to go. I bet you it starts instantly this time. Yeah. Right. Let's do the radiator fan check. It's not a super happy bunny. I'm not super happy about that. 89 degrees at the minute, still not quite kicking the fans in. What was that? I was holding the clutch in because it sounded a bit kind of like knocky. It's 101 degrees. I would have thought the radiator fan should have kicked in by now. Let's put a cable tie around the clutch because I'm not convinced that that's all right. That fuel pump relay is getting hot. Finally. I was just literally Googling what temperature these should come on at. Google told me typically between 103 and 106 degrees, and it is, I don't know if you can see that, 106 degrees. And it's obviously just cooled down enough to turn them off. Okay, so the coolant fans work. Coolant fans, that's what I'm going to call them now. The coolant fans work, so I'm definitely not going to be draining the oil out at maximum temperature, so I'm going to wait for it to cool down a little bit and then drain the oil out. I forgot to mention that I actually plugged back in this timing adjuster and top speed limiter thingy. There you go, you can read what's on it now. Pause the video. I forgot I plugged that back in because, well, it was just hanging on with the cable tie and I wanted to see if it made any difference, and then forgot to see if it actually made any difference because the engine wouldn't start at the time. So I'm actually going to unplug it and see if it actually runs any smoother. Seems the same. Okay, I'm going to have a cup of coffee, wait for that to cool down a little bit, not too much, but enough so that I don't burn myself on the oil. Drain the oil out, fresh oil. Then maybe I'll clip the seat back on and just ride around the car park a couple of times. If it doesn't rain, I don't really want to get wet. And obviously all the electronics and everything is exposed, so I don't want them to get wet too. We'll see where we're at once I've done the oil change. There is a bit of smoke coming from the bike, to be honest. Oh, I completely forgot. I need to have a look at the clutch slave, which is where that smoke's coming from, which might suggest that the clutch fluid is leaking onto something that is hot, hence why smoke is coming from there. You can't really see it. It's not that much smoke, but it's enough for it to definitely be a problem. Anyway, waffling on. Coffee time, cooling time, then oil change time. With the engine sufficiently cooled now, I can undo the sump plug bolt there. Hopefully the thread won't be knackered like it has been in the past. And drain the oil. The oil filter is just there. I've got a new one of those as well, so I'll be replacing that and then put new oil in. Simple as that, right? So with my trusty lunch boxes at the ready. Quite a big sump plug on this, it's 21. Oh, there we go, not super tight. I should probably have a glove on. Ow, it is still rather hot, to be honest. just a little bit on my hand, and it's not super hot, it didn't burn me, so that's good. Oil looks quite black really, doesn't it? It's clean, but it's black. Is that tub going to be big enough, or should I switch to the other one? I think it's going to be big enough. Now this is a magnetic sump plug, and doesn't seem to have anything to worry about too much on the magnet, so that's good. While I'm waiting for that to drip dry, drip drain, I'll take the oil filter out as well. So this is a K&N oil filter. Ugh. Great. Leave those to drain and put the sump plug back in, and then put the new oil filter on. I'm going to pour a little bit of oil into the new filter before putting it on the bike, just to help fill it up with oil. It is a horizontally mounted one, so I'm not going to be able to put too much oil in because it will just come dribbling out when I try and fit it. So I'll put a bit in there, and then screw it onto the bike. And let's not forget that this needs to be nothing more than hand tight. There we go. Pop the sump plug back in and fill up with oil. So I'm actually going to do something sensible for once and hold the funnel in place with a cable tie, because it doesn't go in there very far and it's wobbling all over the place, and I don't really want to spill oil all over the floor. I know it looks like I like doing that from my videos, but it's not that enjoyable mopping it up. Oil goes in. Impressively genius, I think. Right, I've just dribbled a load on the floor, but I'm not going to record this whole dilemma, so I'll put the oil in, check the level, turn the bike over a few times to get it pumping round using the oil pump, and then check the level again and just get it so it's perfect. Then I can move on to fixing the clutch. Now that the oil and coolant has been done, I want to remove the slave cylinder of the clutch, because I think it's either leaking or it has been leaking in the past, and I just want to check it out. So all I have to do by the looks of things is remove the two Allen key bolts in there, and it should pop off. I like to be known for showing when I make a mistake, and that in there is the sump plug washer, a copper one that obviously came off when I took the sump plug out, and I haven't refitted it, but it's not leaking, and it did have an aluminium washer on it as well. I will actually fit a new sump plug washer if I need to drain the oil out again, which I probably will have to, especially if I have to put a new clutch in it. But for now it's not leaking, so I'm actually going to leave it. And that weird squeaky noise was my glove, but I can't do it again. There we go. I've put the oil drip lunchbox down there because when I initially undid the bolt, a bit of clutch fluid did drip down there, so I'm almost certain this is leaking. Off you come. It's quite warm. Ugh. I would have said that has almost certainly been leaking in the past. Whether it's still leaking now, I don't know. If I squeeze the clutch lever, I'm pretty sure it will come out. Oh yeah, look, you can see all the fluid. Yeah, right, this needs stripping and rebuilding before we can even think about riding this bike. And I should probably try and clean up in there best I can as well. Okay, I'm gonna pump this till the piston comes out and then disconnect it. Unlike what I normally do is forget to do that and then struggle to get the piston out. So I'll do that, and then we'll get it on the bench and have a look at it, see if we can get it to seal. And then we have it on the bench stripped apart. Now the seal on this actually feels fine. It's definitely still soft, however it feels a little bit rough from where it's got a load of dried on clutch fluid. And inside here you should be able to see how bad that sealing face is. One second, let's turn the light on, there we go. Can you see in there, it's all kind of crusty and minging. So I'm going to clean that up inside there with some good old-fashioned Scotch-Brite, and I'm going to clean this seal best I can because I don't have another one, so I'm hoping I can reuse that and get it back to life. The spring's good, not rusty. and everything else should be fine with it. So I'm just going to sit here, crack on with that, and then we'll get it back together. Right, I've cleaned all the bits up best I can. This isn't looking too good, to be honest. You can see all those kind of score marks in it. You can't feel them as such, so I don't know if that's going to seal or not. That's the best I can get with this. It doesn't look too bad, but I don't really want to like sandblast it or anything like that because it will ruin the sealing face. I've just literally gone round centrically, yeah, that's a word, in there best I can. You can see there are some kind of scratch lines in there. If this doesn't seal, then I am going to have to get a replacement slave cylinder, but we can but try. So I'll put it back together and we'll see where we're at. It's gone back together quite nicely, and I couldn't do that before. I'm not 100% confident with this one. I've got a feeling it's going to leak. I've cleaned up in there best I can with what I've got. I've removed the pusher shaft thing to clean that properly as well. Now, I'm not going to lie, this is not a good design. You see, there's the chain. That literally is right up against this. So any oil and stuff from the chain gets in there, it ruins that sealing face. Yeah, it's not grand, is it? Okay, I've put it back on the bike and reconnected the hose line, clutch line. Whatever, it's getting late. Look, pitch black outside. Right, I've put it back on the bike, and what I'm going to do is try and bleed it and see if I can get it working, and then take it off again to make sure it's not leaking. I'm pleased to report that it has bled, and it feels really good. It feels like I've got a clutch. I've pushed through an entire line worth of brake fluid so that it's nice and fresh and it's coming out nice and clear. So like I said, I'm just going to pop this off now and check that the seal is not leaking brake fluid inside there. Okay, let's get this bolt out. Let's have a look. Hey, that's as dry as when I put it back in there. Amazing. Right, that is fixed. I'll keep an eye on it over the next few rides just to make sure that it is fixed, but I'm surprised but happy about that. Normally I would do this part of the video where I test ride it around the car park without a helmet, without gloves, without a jacket, but there's something about this bike that I just don't trust. Don't know what it is. Can't put my finger on it. Well, the clutch seems to be working. We've got first gear. Let's go. Well, feels alright. Oh, did you hear that? There's a misfire. I don't think it's supposed to sound like that. Alright, it's well, it's certainly not happy. There's something not quite right. It's got a bit of a misfire. It could be most likely a clogged injector or two, so I might just go ahead and order a couple of new injectors. All in all, I think it's quite a successful day. We've got the bike running, it moves, it stops, the clutch works, and yes, it's got a misfire, so it's probably going to need the injectors replacing. The high idle adjuster doesn't do anything, and there's a relay that seems to be cooking itself underneath my seat, but other than that, I think it's alright. It's alright. Oh, the anti-death wobble mechanism thing on the handlebars doesn't do anything either. That's completely defunct. Anyway, I'm kind of rambling on now. Thank you very much for watching. If you like this video, give me a thumbs up. If you're not subscribed, don't forget to hit that subscribe button, and I'll catch you next time. Cheers.